In this shark attack, a young man is attacked whilst spearfishing off Australia's south coast. Although the attack happened within feet of his friends, the shark was so big that it carried the young man away without leaving any trace. Hit that like button and subscribe right now. This is the terrifying shark attack on Sam Kellett. Welcome to Final Affliction. In February 2014, 28-year-old Sam Kellett, a high school teacher, was spearfishing with friends on Yorke Peninsula's Goldsmith Beach, South Australia. Situated west of Adelaide, Yorke Peninsula is a mixture of rolling hills and large open plains. It consists of prime agricultural land and excellent fishing beaches. The group of friends drove along a gravel track towards the ocean. The rocky sand flats were covered by the tide as they entered the water at Goldsmith Beach on February 8th. Sam was an English teacher at Glenunga International High School. He taught with an incredible sense of humor and a passion and enthusiasm that he passed on to his students. Always active and seeking adventure, Sam was often involved with the school's sports and after-school clubs. Not only did he love diving, but also rock climbing and, more recently, snowboarding. He lived life to the fullest, enjoying every moment, which is what makes this story all the more devastating. Spearfishing provided that same sense of adventure that Sam craved. Free diving beneath the waves, catching your own food, living off the sea was a form of escapism for so many, away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life, outdoors in nature. What could be more enjoyable? The young men headed out into the water. They were free diving, holding their spear guns out in front of them as they descended into the murky depths. They were fishing in about 5 or 6 meters of water, and the visibility was fairly poor. Each of them was attached to a float that bobbed about on the surface of the ocean. Bright orange, it warned boats of underwater divers and helped the group keep track of each other. The group of friends was in the area for the Yorke Peninsula Classic Spearfishing Competition that was due to be held there the next day. These competitions are popular throughout Australia's coasts, providing a sense of fun in a friendly and sustainable way. They thought they would get some practice in before the big day. They had been fishing for about 3 hours, and Sam and his friends had made some successful catches. They spread out in the area, each enjoying his time beneath the waves, silently tracking fish before pulling their trigger. But they weren't the only ones hunting that day. Unknown to the group, there was a large great white shark on the prowl in the area. It moved through the water seeking out prey, an opportunistic hunter, always on the lookout for a meal. Perhaps attracted by the smell of dead and dying fish as the men spearfished, or perhaps drawn by the sounds of the group as they chatted above the surface of the water between dives. The great white shark moved closer. It swam near the ocean floor, hidden by the murky water above. Its movements were slow but powerful, its sharp teeth visible in its characteristically wide grin. Then it spotted something near the surface, the silhouetted outline of one of the divers. It was Sam. The shark moved in for the kill. Torpedoing upwards, it made a beeline straight for the young teacher. Sam's friend Aaron Whitaker saw something out of the corner of his eye. He spotted the shark. His eyes widened as he realized how big the shark was. Likely measuring 5 meters long, he could see the enormous shadow as it emerged from the deep. There was nothing he could do. In the split seconds that followed, Aaron could merely watch as he saw the great white shark launch its attack from beneath. He looked across at where it was headed. The shark was powering upwards through the water column 6 or 7 meters from where Aaron swam. He knew one of his friends was there. He could see the float line entering the water and the orange float bobbing about on the surface. Then, in an almighty splash, the shark grabbed hold of something. It thrashed its head from side to side. Aaron surfaced to see the commotion above the water. His friend, Wyatt Raymount, let out a yell as he also saw the terrifying attack unfolding. No one could see Sam. No one could see what the shark had latched onto. The shark's huge jaws were open wide. Its eyes had rolled back in its head, its pointed nose visible above the surface. Another member of the group, Nicholas Carson, who was underwater at the time of the attack, immediately came up to the surface. He had been spearfishing near the bottom. When he looked up, he saw the commotion. He saw a huge shadow thrashing about at the surface, and he swam upwards. As he reached the surface, he saw the shark break the surface of the water. Then he watched in terror and awe as the shark's enormous tail came up and out of the water before disappearing back below. He was about 25 meters from the shark when it attacked. He could see the shark's dark skin and its immense size. Then came the shocking realization that the shark was attacking one of the boys. They couldn't see Sam in the shark's jaws, but the shark was thrashing around in the area where Sam had been seen only moments earlier. It hadn't gone for the fish that had been caught. It hadn't been distracted by the float. It had clamped its jaws down around one of their friends. The water turned red, a bubbling, boiling sea of bright red, and Sam was gone. Aaron and the others were in a state of shock. Aaron frantically swam away, terrified that the shark was going to come for him. Looking back under the water, he couldn't see the shark anymore. They searched for Sam but couldn't find any trace of him. All that remained was the pool of blood, slowly dissipating into the surrounding water. The attack had come out of nowhere. The shark had been completely unprovoked, although it was likely drawn to the area from the spearfishing activity. Injured fish give off distress signals that sharks can pick up on from a huge distance away. And where there is a fish in distress, there is likely to be an easy meal for the shark. Now, as quickly as it had arrived, the shark disappeared, vanishing into the depths, never to be seen again. And as for their friend, one moment Sam had been there, and the next he was gone. They had heard him let out a yell as the thrashing had begun, but that was it. Following the incident, the group of friends described Sam as the best bloke you could ever meet. From the messages of condolences from Sam's friends, family, colleagues, and students, one thing was clear. This was a very popular and likable young man who had everything to live for. Investigators revisited the site of the attack a short while later. They had hoped to find something, anything from Sam. All they found were 2 weights from Sam's weight belt. They had been severed from the belt and lay on the bottom of the ocean along with his spear gun, still loaded, lying on the ocean floor. On closer inspection, the weights had markings on them, serrated incisions. Shark experts investigated the evidence and concluded that the shark had been a great white. The characteristic bite marks and the descriptions of its size, shape, and color from those unfortunate enough to have witnessed the attack all pointed towards a great white shark. On average, these sharks grow between 3 and 5 meters, or 10 to 16 feet long. Some specimens have even been found to grow slightly larger. They live in most coastal and offshore waters around the world, as long as the sea temperature is within the range of 12 and 24 degrees Celsius, or 54 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. They have long been feared by humans, and along with tiger sharks and bull sharks, are responsible for the most shark attacks around the world. Sam had simply been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Why the shark went for him and none of the others will never be known. It's heartbreaking that a young man lost his life doing what he loved. It's a tragedy that will haunt his friends and family forever. But his parents have said that Sam appreciated the marine environment and had a deep respect for sharks. Despite the terrible circumstances in which Sam died, he still would not have wanted the shark to be hunted and culled. He knew he was in the shark's environment, and he knew the risks. He also knew how much he was loved by his family and friends, who were devastated at the news of his final affliction.